Hello, it's story time. We actually are studying the country of Iran this for this unit, the week that we're doing this. But the story that I have in this book calls it an Iraqi story. We are going to cheat and do this anyway for a couple reasons, because look at the pictures here with all this tile work and all these colors, and that is very much what you would see in Iran as well. And a lot of times these stories come from before we had the borders that we have now. So when this story first started, it may not have been specifically one or the other. So we're cheating and reading this story this week. The story is Zirak and Ring-dove. Ring-dove and her sister found a scatter of sunflower seeds one morning. They started pecking, so happy to have delicious breakfast that they didn't notice a net in the grass beneath their feet. Suddenly, the net closed around them, and they were trapped. Ring-dove's sisters flapped and fluttered in panic. "Stay calm," said Ring-dove. "I see the bird-catcher coming. If we each struggle to save ourselves, we shall all be caught. We must work together to escape." "But what can we do?" cried her sisters desperately. "Let's try flapping our wings together," said Ring-dove. "Maybe we can lift the net off the ground and fly out of the bird-catcher's reach." So when Ring-dove cried, "Fly!" everyone flapped together. Just as the bird-catcher stretched out to grab the net, Ring-dove and her sisters rose from the ground like one huge bird and flew over his head and away. "You won't escape from me," shouted the bird-catcher, shaking his fist angrily. "That's my best net," and he ran after them. Ring-dove and her sisters flew as fast as they could, but the net was heavy, and their wings soon grew tired. We're still trapped," the sisters sighed, "and he'll catch us if we stop to rest." Ring-dove noticed they were near the town. "Let's fly there," she said. "The bird-catcher won't be able to follow us through the narrow, winding streets. And I have a plan to set us free." With all the strength they could muster, Ring-dove and her sisters flew on together, over the town wall to a quiet alley where they fluttered down and lay exhausted in the net. So here was the first picture. This is, this camera is backwards. The bird, that's probably Ring-dove, and a mouse that we'll meet in a minute. But here is also all the birds flying over in the net, working together and flapping over the city. Oh, lost my place. As Ring-dove had guessed, the bird-catcher followed them into town, but he was soon lost in the maze of streets and busy markets. When he realized that he'd never find the birds or the net, he gave up at last and went home. Meanwhile, Ring-dove's sisters felt sorry for themselves. "We may have escaped the bird-catcher," they moaned, "but we're not safer here, in this town full of hungry cats and dogs." "Trust me," said Ring-dove. "I told you I had a plan." She edged toward a little hole in the shadow of the street and called out, "Zirak, friend Zirak." A brown mouse peered out of the hole. "Who calls my name?" he said. blinking at the sunlight. "My sisters and I need your help," said Ring-dove. Zirak ran to her side. "Ring-dove, old friend," he cried, "how did you come to be tangled in this net?" Then Ring-dove explained how they had escaped from the bird catcher. At once, Zirak set about chewing the net to free his friend. The sisters flapped and fretted. "Bite here," they urged. "Get me out first." But Zirak ignored them and continued to make a hole for Ring-dove. "Save my sisters first, Zirak," whispered Ring-dove. "Leave me until last." "But they are selfish," exclaimed Zirak. "They don't care about each other." "If you save me first, you may grow tired and leave them behind," said Ring-dove. "But I'm sure that if you leave me until last, you won't abandon your friend." Zirak chuckled to himself. "You're right, dear Ring-dove," he said. "I don't care about the fate of your silly sisters, but your kindness to them makes me love you even more." So he chewed the net until he had freed the sisters and, at last, Ring-dove herself. And there was just time for the two friends to say goodbye before a cat scampered up the alley and sent them all hurrying home. So Ring-dove and her sisters, even though they were selfish, they all got to escape because Ring-dove had a plan and talked her friend into freeing the sisters first. So that is that. But I really like these pictures with all the bright colors. So that is our story. I hope you liked it, and I will see you soon.